Hello everybody and welcome back to I Wear a Jacket Inside. My name is Edinger, and a couple weeks ago I made a video in which I showed my Scottish friend what a real US curriculum looks like, and you guys had a lot to say about that. First up we got Fiona with, "It is so American that history is split into US and world." Is it? I guess it is. Now that you think about it, it's like us and the world. My friend Sammy texted me the other day because of a tweet I made that he liked. Could have just retweeted it. Thanks, Sammy. But he basically said it's like what the US does when it comes to music genres. You know, it's either American or it's world music. What? I didn't even realize that until he said it. I was like, that is how it is. Like, oh yes, German music, world music. English music, world music. One Direction's world music. Because it changed my world. Liam Payne's. Did I just pick the least popular one? I don't even know. Maybe it was like Tom Hiddleston. That's the least popular member of One Direction. Something's wrong with my sentence. Tomlinson. Moving on! In my school, it was required to take 2 years of world history, 1 ancient, and 1 modern. I really like how this splits up. Like, you get to learn a whole year of just ancient history, and then also a year of more modern history, I'm assuming in the last 100 years or so. I find that super important. Even if the modern was like just the last like 20 or 30, just so you're like hyper aware of what's happening very recently. Whereas the ancient one, I just find it super interesting. So if I had to do 2 history courses, that'd probably be the way that I'd want to do it. In college, I had to do my first ever world history courses, which were Western Civilizations 1 and 2, and I found it fascinating. Would recommend if you get a chance. There's so much cool stuff to find out in terms of battles and stuff. It's always worth it to learn one of Boris Johnson's favorite classes, his Tory. I'm not proud of that. Corey, when are we going to learn algebra? Teacher, we passed that. This is complex calculus. I would not like this system. I know that everyone was like, oh yeah, you just take maths and you're learning calculus and pre-calculus. I don't personally like that. I like being able to learn distinct things. That way it's almost like a tick list. So I'm like, oh, I've learned that, as opposed to just this never-ending realm of math. I like it to be a bit more discrete, you could say. Is that what you want to say? Discrete math. Yes. There's 2 different words for discrete. Discrete math. Discretely. Don't tell me your math in secret. Profess your love. Profess your calculust for math. Lady classes. I just wanted to learn cooking. Yikes, cooking isn't gendered. You need food to survive. Yes, this is a common case of what I thought was a quite obvious joke, because the thing is, it is 2020, so I don't really think, or at least I didn't think, that anyone wouldn't be able to perceive that as a joke. Because do you really expect me to have something like that said in a video in a non-ironic way and get through many steps of the editing process and me go, this is a good idea, and upload it to be like, oh no. Give me a little bit more credit. / Corey, a little bit more credit. He's not gonna make that. It was just a joke. It was a joke. Frying pans, more like frying mans. No, didn't make sense to me either. I feel like something that wasn't really touched on at all is that the American education and college admissions is really focused on extracurricular activities, whereas British schools don't even have extracurriculars in their applications. So the American curriculum might look a lot easier, but for more ambitious students, it's supplemented by a lot of demanding clubs and competitions and other activities. Demanding. I was in the knitting club. I wasn't too demanding. Had to knit a small scarf. I couldn't do it. I smudged. But yes, that is actually a really good point. In the US, the extracurriculars that you do after school are actually very important for the college admissions process. If you're from the UK and you want to back up something about this, about how important they are to the UK, that'd be great. Put it in the comments, we can thumb it up. But yeah, in the US, you do kind of have to do at least 2 or 3 extracurriculars to at least show that you've got stuff going on besides just education. Because you could be a 4.0 student and do really, really well, but if you haven't done anything except school, the admissions people at colleges go like, oh, so you're just some type of nerd? And then you're like, I was in, math club. They're like, oh, so you're a nerd that likes clubs. You're in, my type of guy. I don't know why it works like that, but that is kind of how it works. Hence why I was in like a bajillion different math classes, a bajillion different clubs. The American high school system is as hard as you want it to be. Oh, saucy. You have a lot of freedom. Sounds about right. If you stack on AP classes, it will be significantly harder than regular classes. Yes, yet again, I do enjoy the subway system that is the US high school, where you can choose, I want to take a lot of hard courses and make it really difficult, or I just want to take high school easy. Like, if you don't really plan on going to university, you don't really have to do any of those hardcore AP classes. You can just take some simple level college prep classes or do a lot more fun electives. So it is kind of like a pick your education in a way. Like I said, there are mandatory ones, but I do like that you can choose the difficulty and kind of mix and match based on what you're going for. It makes sense that if you want to do math as a degree, you don't really have to do any of the hardcore AP Englishes if that's not really where you want to go. The whole band and choir being classes, not clubs thing is really weird to me as a Brit. Like, someone misunderstood the meaning of extracurricular and thought it meant more stuff to add to the curriculum rather than stuff that's outside the curriculum. I mean, Kind of. It's only those classes, by the way, especially at my school. Like, sure, there were actually marching bands that were extracurriculars, so if you wanted to go around marching, that's an extracurricular. But concert band, just playing instruments, that is a period of the day. So it was so important that you got to spend a full 43 minutes. I can't imagine doing that as a extracurricular as well. Like, marching band was so incredibly strenuous. So many of those kids were like, it's just really, really intense with time-wise. But I do want to say that band is an extracurricular in elementary school. I had to wake up at like 5 a.m. to go to a different school to practice instruments with some random kids in the district, but it was extracurricular then. But everywhere else, yeah, it's just part of the curriculum. I like that, all right? You get to choose if you want to do band, and it's an easy course. Play some instruments. Come at me, I was second clarinet. Couldn't be first, because I just didn't care that much. Sometimes I'd play badly on purpose because I knew that would wind the guy up, Nope. I'm Canadian, so about half my experience aligns with American schools, and about half seems more British, like a swirly ice cream cone. That is the most beautiful analogy I've ever heard. Thank you very much, Emily. Just gonna lick your school experience. I've just ruined it. Just 1 year of a foreign language looks at me having done 8 years of English, 5 years of French, and German, and Greek, 3 years of Latin. Wow, English, French, German, Greek, and Latin. Holy shit, those are all foreign. I'm assuming you're Dutch, could be Belgian, not trying to. But either way, that is so much. Also, I just want to point out, because everyone was freaking out that I did say you only have to learn 1 year of foreign language in the States, specifically in my area. But as we were talking about, where like you do have to do a lot of extracurriculars because college admissions are looking for that, they're also looking for people that try hard with foreign languages and aren't just doing the mandatory one. So if you do just do 1 year of a foreign language, you might not get into that university you're looking forward to going. So just so you know, I did 4 years. I got into the college I wanted to go to. A community college. It saved me lots of money. The American curriculum seems like a lot of random knowledge that you'd get points on a TV quiz show. Yeah, guess what, UK? Sorry to tell you, but Americans win the pub quizzes. As long as it's American-related questions. Best high school class I took was forensic science. We solved fake crimes and calculated when people died using body temperature, rigor mortis, and magos. That is absolutely wild. I can't believe you took forensic science in high school. It just sounds like a course that you take in college, be like, oh my god, this is so stressful. But as it's in high school, it just makes it more fun because it's less work. Even though it's still a course, it's not as like a big deal, but I hope you ended up going into like university for that, because that's such a good preparation. I really like that as a concept. I was supposed to go take that course with a lot of my friends, but all of them ended up being ill, so I wouldn't really take a course if my friend's sick. How do I disappoint myself with these now? In Australia, we're only required to take 1 year of a foreign language, mostly Japanese. Japanese? That's like super interesting. Is that because of the close proximity? Is it because there's a lot of Japanese people in Australia? I really want to know. That's really fascinating. I'd think it would be just the standard ones, but I guess if you think about the proximity of Australia to, there's Indonesia, there's China, there's Japan. Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you, Australia, giving us new information all the time. 1 year of a foreign language sounds so weird to me. In Germany, you have 2 different kinds of graduation. With one, you only need 8 years of English lessons. But if you want to be able to go to university, you actually need 10 years of English and 5 years of a third language. What? I like that. It's interesting, but also, what? So you get like different tiers of graduation? I guess it's kind of similar in the US, like I said, where it's like, if you have the extracurriculars, you can get into a college, but also you could get into them without, depends on the college. Life is weird. The world is weird. We've got so many interesting experiences coming out of these community videos. This sounds like fantasy high school compared to most of the country. New Jersey is not a fantasy. Believe it in your heart. It exists. Americans, do you guys learn about Native Americans? Like, why they got killed? It's interesting that you bring this up, because we do learn about the Trail of Tears, but I feel like the way it's taught is very much like, oh yeah, and then this happened. Andrew Jackson was like, Trail of Tears. There you go. Whereas when you learn more things about like other countries' atrocities, like the Holocaust, it's like, and then yeah, this stuff happened. It was pretty horrible. Can't believe they did that. Anyway, Trail of Tears. Yeah, it kind of had to happen. They were in the way. It is kind of taught in that way, but that is annoyingly just the way U.S. history is taught in the U.S. at the moment. I can't believe there was a time in my life when I had to have the whole Gettysburg Address memorized. Yeah, it's weird. Why is that in our brains? Why do we have to memorize that? Extra credit, you might say. Sure. There's so many better things we could have memorized, maybe, but oh well. Makes for a unique party trick, I suppose. 7 years ago. That's my best impression. That's all I can remember. Scotland, South Dakota is actually a nice town. It's a small farming community. Our kids went to preschool in Scotland, South Dakota. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I was really hoping to find someone who'd been to Scotland, the real Scotland from South Dakota. Thank you very much, Michelle. I'm very glad to hear Scotland is a nice place. Go Highlanders. Corey, you didn't have geography? No, we don't have geography in high school. Geography is taught in either elementary school or middle school, so why would you take it again? In this comment, I kind of am a bit confused because, by that logic, why are we learning English in high school? Why are we learning history at all? Why are we learning math? I already learned math. It's not the best opinion. You should constantly be learning things, especially because there's a lot more to learn, okay? Be like, oh, well, why would we want to learn geography? There's more U.S. history to learn. Like the shot that was heard around the world. You know, that's a really important one. Big shot. This is probably one of my favorite comments on the entire video. Pennsylvania resident here. I didn't do driver's ed in school. We just learned from anyone who already knows how to drive and scheduled our own tests at the local DMV. From New Jersey. And this just clarified so much about Pennsylvania drivers. No wonder we complain about them so much. It's just a running joke. Pennsylvania drivers are just really, really bad. So having a comment from someone from Pennsylvania say, yeah, we just kind of learn however we try. I was like, yeah, makes sense. I've seen you on the road. Bear in mind that this is clearly a city school curriculum. If you're from a small town, you don't have these options. Mythology? My school had one band class between 3 combined grades, and the only language options were French, German, and Spanish. You really think I went to a city school with those options? Because I did not go to a city school. I went to 2 different high schools. I transferred in between 10th and 11th grade, but the original school I went to was just a suburb, not a big school at all. It wasn't even one of the big suburbs like in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It was a small suburb, okay? The population of the suburb was 30,000. Sounds big. And then I moved to another school that had basically the same courses, mind you, population 3,000 for the entire town, okay? It was a farm in town. You can't tell me I went to a city school, mate. And that about does it for this week's community video. Thank you guys so much for participating in our lovely community. It has been a lovely one. Hopefully, I will see your lovely little faces around here next week. Thanks for subscribing. We are slowly growing. One day, gonna hit that big 1 milli. Don't know when. Either way, I'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye. In Australia, we are required to take 1 year of... What the f*** was that accent? G'day, mate. I come from Australia. Oi, bugger. I'm an Australian man. I want to be... Oi, I'm an Australian man. G'day, mate. I'm from Australia. In Australia, we are required to take 1 year of... Liverpool? I can't hold an accent for more than one word. Can throw shrimp on the barbie. I'm Australian. Oh, take it easy, chap. Oi, I'm from Australia. I really can't do it. In Australia, we are required to take 1 year of a...